Call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Nordby?
Here.
Councilmember Woods?
Here.
Councilmember McKenzie?
Here.
Councilmember Schwer?
Here.
Mayor Mungy?
Here. Thank you. I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved.
So move. Councilmember Schwer, Councilmember Wood, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
All right, first up, we have a presentation from HGA Parks Planning for their final report. So, please come up.
I'm sitting right
here we- there you
because
are.
This is not working on there.
Okay,
Didn't
perfect.
work very good for me to stand up there last time and then like try and block here. So
No
I
problem.
guess I'm in. I'm gonna sit so you catch me. No. My name is Trig Hansen. I'm a landscape architect with HGA. I've got to know many of you as well as some of the Parks and Rec Committee members that are here in the office or audience that I've worked with, or HGA and my team has worked with for several months beginning back in August. And we wrapped up a several months long process in beginning of January with the finalization, or end of January, with the finalization of this report, which is a report that summarizes and documents essentially everything that we did during a process that was geared around developing concept designs for 3 sites that were identified in RFP, solicited by the city via the Parks and Rec Commission, that HGA responded to amongst, I believe, a dozen other firms. This was actually back in, I think, about February when it all started. And then HGA was selected to work with the Parks and Rec Commission. April sometimes, there was some changeover within the staff, and we finally got the project going in earnest in August. And what we did there were the 3 parks, and my understanding is you've all at least had this report and reviewed and understand. I know Cassidy is familiar with the project and the process and everything that went on. But we did conceptual design for 3 parks: the downtown open space, a 3rd Street North open space, and McKnight Athletic Complex. That process included discovery of within the city staff, stakeholders, so that our team could understand the passion and the story of the city and the relationship to parks within the city. And it also included a pretty lively and rigorous engagement process, getting out into the community, a series of a couple events and meetings that had a lot of stakeholder community data that we collected that informed the designs, and I'll kind of step through a little bit of the summary of those things within the report. I don't really have an opportunity to get into depth, but what I do want is to give enough time to have questions and answers moving forward. Like I got through that. There's some things that the process didn't do. It didn't prioritize any of the 3 parks over another. It went through essentially the same process for each. When we presented at events, we put them side by side. This was an opportunity to create design ideas for these 3 different parks. Each one along the way, they had their unique findings, discoverings, and needs, and we reacted to those in kind, but we didn't develop a purview as a team, nor did the Parks and Rec Commission on any of them being more important than the other. We wanted to inform what these could be as added and improved within the Parks and Rec system. Another thing that we didn't do was develop a budget for these projects. We did conceptual cost estimating, and that's what you see in the result of the findings in the report and as documented. Conceptual cost estimating based on market value, I'll just say market value approach, whereas if these projects were bidded and developed and implemented through whether it's a general contractor manager or construction manager at large. We didn't make any prioritization or decisions based on cost, other than reacting to the programs and the features that were included in the cost estimate and informed in a conceptual. So this is a high-level, loaded cost estimate, represents the concepts that were created through the process. So, oh geez. With that, oh, come on, baby, come back. Okay, it was just going to sleep. I'll get into it. I was told we have, 10 to 15 minutes, and now I just took up 5 of it, I'm sure. So, again, the report starts with an overview of the project, identifying the project within the city. This wants to be a tool for members of the city and potentially, fundraisers, or so that we gave a pretty robust background to this document that can be used. We also want it to be a tool for other projects, not just these 3. Wanted to be a tool for complementing the master plan and other things moving forward as far as parks and open space. The engagement approach was developed. We didn't have an approach set other than kind of a rigor that we go through on all of our projects, but we discovered who are the important community and stakeholders to engage with once we started working with the city. And that was informed through that group collaborative effort. So we learned that something like the Arts Fest would be a great opportunity for us to be out in the community. And we did that based on the engagement process that we met or did together with the PRC and others. We had some things that we were going to plan, like we're thinking that the car shows might be something good, but we learned that it's not as representative of the community itself, because it brings in a lot of outside people. Great opportunity for the city, but that's something like the Art Fest or the parade, which didn't actually happen because of the weather. But then we also set up like a community open house over at Casey Lake, which was a fantastic event. So we're kind of continually learning as we go and adjusting. Let's see. Some of the, whole host of findings. We began with some understanding of the community survey, Parks and Rec survey that had been done in the summer of '23. And this was an opportunity to provide further information, validate some things, truth. There was there can be different information gained through personal conversations, one-on-ones, in-person events versus anonymous surveys. Little context can be given to answers, and some of the things that we learned is things that might have been asked for in the survey as you did design concepts and conversations, learned that they might not have as much support, or they have more challenges as you start to execute them in reality. So, some of the metrics are talked about in here, moving towards, as we get into each of the sites, how concepts were developed. So I'm going to try and speed up my cadence so that we can make sure we have time for conversation. Essentially, for the downtown open space, for each of them, we developed at least 2 options that were responded to and voted on at different the community events. The direction that was most supported, although the 2 options here had a lot of similar support, was one that is based on idea of the downtown open space acting as a front porch to downtown North St. Paul. Simple green space, a passage on the west side for people to come, spend 5, 10, 15 minutes, but nothing too presuming. One of the interesting things about the design concept process here was that we thought about all these different programs that could happen in that open space, from public art to sculptural play spaces. And when it came down to it, simple open space for that first step is really flexible and meaningful. If this park develops in 1 year or 5 years down the road, there's an opportunity to re-engage conversations about how that space might be used. But as an open, flexible space, it's really unpresuming for a program that could move forward and provide value to the city. Oops. I gotta not do what I just did. So we created for each of these some conceptual renderings. We actually developed a simple 3D model because we know that above and beyond plans and precedent images, seeing things that are of the space, provocative, can be really instrumental about telling the story. One of the features that was really supported are these, you can see these orange frames that holds something that's like an industrial scale front porch swing, something that would be simple, interactive, but artistic at the same time, and that was something that we did include in this, and it could be a little bit of an iconic feature that attracts people to downtown and adds a little pizzazz, we'll say. Going into the 3rd Street open space, this lot of lively conversations about this. This is the wooded, well, I guess like 2/3 wooded along 3rd Street, and the other is the corner of, what do we call it? Is it 5 Corners there? A really kind of busy intersection where there's an opportunity, some city-held land to do something. The process in here was really, I mentioned, community feedback that as we meant for initial community feedback, like from the community survey that said, oh, we really want community gardens and we really want dog park. So we explored those things, as well as nature-based play. As we furthered down, let me just get to, do we lay out the 2 options? Anyhow, there was a series of kind of the options that had some of the most support were nature play and a dog park. And it was interesting, very interesting in the in-depth community engagement, like open house. A lot of the people who were we'll just call them dog people, enlightened us to some of the considerations that dog parks have versus just blatantly putting in, or just putting a dog park in reaction to a survey. Many of the people that were dog park or dog owners said that they had challenges with going to dog parks. So a lot of that in-depth conversation and revisiting led us to the final direction that it was going to be a nature-based playground experience with a small community garden. And now that's what the design direction that was held in final. And McKnight Athletic Complex.
Can you?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but you have some pictures of what that dog park and the nature play is?
Yes.
Can you show those?
Yeah.
Because you had showed the downtown piece.
Oh, I didn't.
This
Sorry.
is-
I
yeah.
apologize.
That's
Here we
okay.
go. Yes. Let me go back to the plan. I got so in depth, kind of just like talking about the process. I apologize. So this is the plan for the 3rd Street open space. The preferred final option, some sort of community garden space at the 5 Corners, and then in the wooded area, developing an accessible main trail, and then kind of some ribbons of nature-based play experiences. Those could be wood chip trails into the hillside amongst groups of boulders and logs and slides and all kinds of things like that. We had a lot of spirited conversation led by Dave about how this could be an opportunity for the city to develop and implement a park on maybe a bit of a different type of construction scale, meaning you could engage local partners, local school groups, the public works could implement it, and it may not necessarily need to be implemented as a full outside construction manager or general contractor. That being said, under the purview of the project, that's where the budget and the cost estimate lies within that. Some images on the top of how the community garden might express itself, and then on the left here, looking for some openings in that wooded area, thinking that there'd be an opportunity to do some selective removal of trees. A lot of it is kind of overgrown and urban forest, but there would be some opportunity to keep some of the more mature things that are preferred species, open it up and create a nice space for the community. Unlike other areas that the city already has with kind of more formal play areas, this would be an opportunity to explore that kind of nature-based play. Now, I could spend probably hours talking about the complexity and the layers of discovery that we had with McKnight Athletic Complex. I can't say exactly how many, but one of the main things several of the things that we learned for sure is that this site has a lot of pride, historical pride of the city, and programs and athletics that used to happen there that aren't happening there right now. And the city would really love to get that pride back from this site as a iconic athletic space for the city of North St. Paul. We learned and dug into and had conversations about the shared use agreement that the city and the Independent School District 622 has. We learned that in its current state, it's predominantly seeing lack of athletic programming coming out of the city now, and diminishing use by, I'll just say, outside rentals, coming and going of youth baseball or Legion ball, things like that, the biggest user right now is the softball and baseball teams at the North High. We also understand that for the most part, the city operates and maintains the fields. We learned through a very insightful meeting with the city and the school district that everyone wants a balanced use, that it makes sense that the city is utilizing it just as much as the school district as the way that it had been in the one past. And we learned that there's opportunity and openness from both sides to adapt and look at different ways that the land can be used and support the programs that have historically happened there and are happening there right now. So we covered, the levels of disrepair and site analysis. We looked at all the opportunities out of, just potential programming that could happen on the site. A lot of things that we started in initial diagrams with a lot of different programs. And as we moved out to a final preferred option, we really distilled it down to, I guess it's 5 main pieces. One, obviously, a right-sized and improved parking lot that supports the activities and events that will happen there. The existing parking lot is in need of repair. It is and another thing that we talked about is that the capital improvement plan has identified some funds in the near future for specifically the parking lot at McKnight, but that this planning and programming and conceptualization would be an ideal time to wrap that into some larger program if possible. One of the other pieces, and we learned from a liaison group, the shortage of available soccer programming within the city itself. And so we've visualized how the T-ball space could become maybe potentially a first step at creating this flexible mini pitch program that could bring in all kinds of different youth soccer opportunities and be flexible for other sports. And then in a second phase, that same model is talked about how it could be done on a larger context of potentially 2 of the northern softball fields. You could get other sport opportunities within that area, inclusive of baseball and softball, within the planning program. 2 other, or a couple other supportive programs that were talked about a lot that are missing at McKnight were a flexible event space, playground and this one was more identified for kind of like that middle age, active, that not tiny tots and things like that, but like the 5 to 12 into young teenage. For a whole host of reasons, supplementary to whatever other sport events that are going on at the park, but also a place for those young adults and teens to find their own space to hang out. And another program that came through on the previous survey, as well as all the data that we collected through the community engagement, was skate and bike skills. So we've positioned that here as well. Go into some of the imagery that we created for this park. And this one we did, instead of having one, we have like the phase 1 and a phase 2 potential. Phase 2 brings in, there was a lot of conversation and energy about how flexible and useful the building at Casey Lake is. And we identified that this would be, if we improve athletic programs and add program, this would be a great place to have something in similar kind to support for storage, small events, and bathrooms, facilities, things like that. And so that's included as well in the phase 2 cost estimate. I said we didn't, we kind of treated them all the same, although McKnight has kind of different level of unique programming type, so we kind of broke them out and told a little bit of story, the value, the design considerations that each one would have within the program. And then talked about, no matter what the design, final concept, some of the, I'll say, design elements that would be supportive of any design iteration now or into the future. And then we ended with the cost estimates. Again, these were not, the Parks and Rec Commission did not develop a budget for the project. This was cost estimates that were in support of the design concepts that were developed. And you can see kind of highlighted and discussed in kind of summary level, the McKnight in particular has a lot of opportunities for community and partnerships, whether it's grants, aligned programming that could be and should be explored. when and if the project moves forward. So that's, in general, a summary. I apologize for kind of a rambling approach to explaining this. I guess I'm most eager to be able to field some questions, if there are, because I think, Dave, Sarah and myself were so ingrained in the process, coming from those who are reviewing and reacting. I think it's important to have open dialogue, if desired, with the group that put it together. So, thanks so much.
Any questions, anyone?
Well, I'll start.
Comments?
Trig, the whole HGA team has done a phenomenal job, and you have been present with this whole entire project. So thank you for all the work that you've done. I will say you guys did an outstanding job of reaching out to our community and its members, especially at the Autumn Arts Festival. I was so impressed with the boards and the colored dots that what would you like to see here? What would you like to see here? And you implemented it all into these 3 park plans, which was incredible. And to see it up front now in 3D image, there's endless opportunities, yet I think with some of us, our eyes don't see what you had put together, especially alongside the 5 corners. That area has so much potential as well, and we know that McKnight Complex is a sought out. We need some help over there. Let's just say that. But there is opportunity. I mean, there's a great opportunity, and like you said, great partnerships that we could work with. And then you have the little downtown park area where I like that you said it's kind of like that front porch feeling, right? You come in and there's a place to sit. And we have car shows that are consistent throughout the summer. So you've all done a fantastic job, and a big thank you to Parks and Rec as well for the time commitment that you've put in last year and continuing through these meetings. You're a volunteer doing this on this commission. Sarah, you're working extra overtime to do this. And that said, this is a great plan, great opportunity of what we have lying ahead. And we have some great people on Parks and Rec that I can see drive through this process with the support of council.
Thank you.
Did you say there's going to be a skate park for rollerblades or skateboards, things like that?
That's one of the programs that is currently held shown in the preferred option at McKnight.
And that would be for kids, though, twirl their bikes and break their legs and all that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I like the skateboard idea and I like the bike idea, because we need something in this community for the kids in the range of 9 to 15.
Yep.
That is one of the things I do like about the program here you got. Some of it, I'd love to see that one of these fields get domed for the wintertime so we can have an indoor athletic program instead of so much condense onto one area, dome it over like they do at Concordia in the wintertime. That is phenomenal how they do that. And they have the air bubbles and they'll blow it up. The high school could be able to practice year-round ball here.
Yeah, there's a lot of, we used several of those. You know, a lot of the team was not necessarily familiar when we talked about adding field flexibility
Right.
To these, whether, turning into artificial turf or any of that. So we talked about what they're doing over at the sauna complex, which is at Conway.
Okay, St. Paul, yeah.
Yep. And they take a portion of that is domed during the
Yeah.
during the winter, Concordia. So I think there's a lot of significant amount of programming opportunity.
There's a lot of discussion that could be done about this.
Yeah.
I like the design of the complex itself. I think I'd like to bring in one more ball field back. So if we can get a tournament set up, at least we can run a 3-6 team tournament and keep it round robining like that. But we could probably get by with one less. So things like that, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think because of the costs, something we thought about.
Come up so people can hear, please.
Sarah Zarad from the Park Commission. Something we had thought about just to consider is not having to make the decision tonight on exactly what it's gonna look like, but making the decision that we can start the path to move forward because we know how big it is that with the softball fields, that potentially could be like phase 2, like tackling the parking lot, those decrepit tennis courts where we're housing all of our trees at the moment. That, like, phasing the approach for A, cost, B, what partnerships could be leveraged in order to do that, because we might need more time, especially if you're talking about a dome or additional baseball fields, like where we might have easier partnerships with the Minnesota United and with Target, who can donate money that are specific
that's
towards
right,
soccer
yeah.
programs. So I think maybe the way to approach it or think that we thought about it was like actually thinking of in phased approaches, because when you look at the dollar volume, it's scary. But I think if we think of it as like, let's take this, what can we nail out first, which is we don't have a lot for youth 9 to 15 to do in the city. We have a lot of things for young kids, and then you age up, and then we know what happens to kids. So looking at it that way, where we might be able to tackle that first lump with the parking lot and just kind of maybe get that fun little, kids can bring their bikes, older kids can bring their skateboards, the little ninja structure or older play structure so that kids who are playing, the siblings of the baseball kids, I have those, you know, they've got something to do. If we can tackle that first, then I think we can have a maybe more in-depth conversation about that second half where all those ball fields are, and then give that more time to kind of mull it over. That would just be my way of thinking at it too, just for cost as well.
Right.
And on that phase 2, if you notice, that's also a flex field. So in reality, we would still have 4 fields there, correct?
Absolutely.
There would be still 4, okay.
Yes.
Yep.
But the way it's laid out, because it's a flex, we can, when baseball or softball season's done, we can change it over to soccer fields.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that we were kind of touching on all of those things, so. But like Sarah had mentioned earlier, I think we would like to see at least phase 1 get going, so that area can be more utilized with a lot of the people that are now moving into the city in the new condos and stuff. So, but that was, to answer your question, you wouldn't, in reality, lose any fields,
Okay.
so.
One question I had was with the phase 1, you know, it covers the,
Let me get to, go to the plan.
sorry, phase 1 for the McKnight Fields.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. So it covers those tennis courts north.
Yes.
The parking lot, Little Kunkel Field, that whole area, which I agree with Sarah and you, needs a lot of work. So does it cover anything for the existing baseball field itself? It looks like there's some landscaping, but I mean, I know that field gets used a lot
Not,
for
what-
league ball and, you know, things
I'll
like that.
say not specifically, other than, we know that that is that's a cherished
Oh, yeah.
icon of the city.
Right.
So we would embrace it. There's, that being said, like the stands, like the back of house stuff.
Right.
There's a great opportunity to integrate that in.
Okay.
I'll say, there were several decisions made on this project earlier, and I didn't get into it. One was, we didn't undergo any physical topographic existing survey. We decided that we had a proposal out there to survey the 3 sites, you know, and it was upwards of $20,000 plus to get that existing. We made a calculated decision that we could move forward thinking conceptually and high level without doing a deep dive survey to know like exact conditions and this and that. That being said, I think it would behoove the city and its partners to think broadly about what executing a concept like this could entail, you know? So I'm going to say yes and no to your
Okay.
question.
Fair enough.
Well, let me ask you this then. All right, that smaller field that's up on the northwest corner there, could that be drawn out as you put the artificial turf down for a couple of small T-ball sized fields
Absolutely.
for, because I realize Richardson's got a couple, but the St. Peter's young programs have got no place to play because they don't have a property that they are able to play at right now. So, I mean, down the road, if they were able to make up some fields for their 3 or 4-year-olds to 8-year-olds to start there, so they can work with the city and get that all kind of prepared in there, and they can play on the the turf and that, where they don't need the dirt and all that, you know.
Absolutely, yeah,
That'd
that-
be the slick thing to do, and the parents are able to park close, and then at a certain point, it will be all changed over for soccer for the rest of the fall, and/or football if they want it.
Most of these flexible fields have a hierarchy of permanent lines on them, different colors.
Yep.
So, you know, the sacrifice of of that is you get a little bit of visual noise, but you have sometimes 6 different programs over line on, you know, and we talked about some of these things, but that design level would be, that rigor would be brought right into this, and just to go about the conversation about like the skate park, there would be a stakeholder engagement process, part of a final design program that identifies, you know, the opportunities and the constraints within that. A feature like that actually requires consultants that are specialists in that, you know, and so the design team would integrate that. You know, I can't say by any means that I know how to design a skate park.
Right, well, no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've seen one firsthand, how Hopkins did it.
Yeah,
And they've got theirs underneath the 169 corridor
Right,
bridge over
yeah.
Hopkins. So, I mean, for that, that's down the road for someone else to figure out. But this building up on the northern corner, on the backside of the Legion baseball team in the high school,
yep.
what is that now? That is just an open space in the building?
Which one are we talking, sorry, right here where I said stands existing?
No, it's
Or
the
the-
round octagon kind of
Thing
building.
right here?
That building right there on to the right, yeah.
Oh, ha. Yes,
There you go.
you're talking about the concession stand?
No,
No, I'm
it's
talking,
still
go to your right a little more. It's on the back side of the,
It's the
Phase 2 of the community building.
yeah, that's what it must be then.
current batting cages.
Oh, yes, that's a placeholder, what would be a new building like at Casey Lake, something like that, that has,
How big?
I think that's to be determined.
yep. But I think that's about 5,000 square feet shown. So it's a little bit bigger than what is at Casey Lake. To house, support, function, bathrooms, storage. It was a feature that's been identified as, through the process as in a park like this, an amenity that would be,
Like a fallout shelter also for
Yeah.
playing out there? If they're playing, they got weather coming, yeah.
yep.
That would have to be built strong enough, but yeah, that would work. Okay.
And a whole other piece of a design process that would have specific engagement about the needs, the requirements,
Right.
the programming.
Okay.
Part of it too, for what I'm looking at also is that sometimes we can't use those fields till the middle of summer because of drainage and things like
Yes,
that.
yep.
So you didn't address any of that as far as land, because I think there's gonna be a lot of excavating that's gonna have to come, because it is a swamp. I mean, if you really wanna have fields that drain, otherwise,
Yes,
doing
so
the same thing we're doing now, which is we can't even mow them.
that's actually a good and absolutely fantastic point, is the and this is part of the cost estimate, is that those artificial fields, they're at surface and a profile that goes down 2-3 feet, that drains water through.
Oh, I
So,
see. So
yeah,
there's
so
a
it's
water
like clear,
drainage?
yes, it's clear. There's stormwater management, and, because the idea is that you're investing a lot of money and you want to be able to use those fields no matter what.
Can you
so-
reuse that water?
Well,
As
it
puddles underneath, or is
it-
there a drain tile?
it infiltrates into the soil,
So the
so,
water table's up that high, that's why it never goes down.
Yeah.
So that concerns me, as how do you get that, so the water table is up that high?
so.
Okay. Thanks.
Absolutely fantastic, question. So we would start with surveying and geotechnical, some soil borings to understand what's going on there specifically. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this presentation. It's been wonderful. One of the questions I have, and it's specifically all of them, but specifically the Forest Park concept.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what level of expertise or what level of compliance these concepts have in relation to ADA?
Yes. This one specifically, like I said, we did not get survey data. But that being said, we got publicly available data. And based on that, it seems that there would be no issues with engineering and further detailed design to make a sweeping path that goes through at accessible grade. You get, the road itself, maybe more than, accessible grade is 5%, maybe more than that, but you can get more length by swooping and doing some earth mark. So the goal with, I guess it's number 7, would be that it's a accessible grade with safe lighting to accommodate it. When you get into nature-based playthings, you're making some educated decisions about what full accessibility and access means, just on the basis of that. That being said, at McKnight, we would see no reason that we would be designing things that weren't meeting accessible standards. You get into a conversation on the playground of how much of you want to implement universal type access versus experiential based access, which is a whole playground design specialty about universal access and things like that. So downtown park, we would make all the spaces accessible for different, all levels of wheelchair, walker, all those. We don't see any challenges from that. It's essentially a flat space right now. So, and it would have to be with thinking about it wanting to be this simple, flexible plaza front porch. So, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I've said this to Sarah, and Dave enough, but I'm a lifelong from St. Paul. My wife grew up on the east side, so I drove 36 thousands and thousands of times. I never got a chance to become part of the North St. Paul community until I worked on this project. So working on this I got to know another community, I got to know another population, all these learn things. I made you make all these assumptions about places. Much of it is not true, So getting to know this is another part of my home now. I feel at home here, and I'm sure we'll have working relationships in some fashion moving forward. So thank you very much. It's been awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hey.
All right.
All right, next up is the consent agenda. Item A, February 18th, 2025, regular, or workshop and regular meeting minutes. Item B, general claims of $685,621.73. Item C, HRE claims of $16,668.73. Item D, North St. Paul participation in Minnesota's Towards Zero Death Grant Program. Item E, new appointment to the Arts and Culture Commission. Item F, purchase Hall of Fame decorative lighting, which would finish up the lights out there on Casey Lake Trail. Item G, 2025 rate table solar above 40 kW. And item H, electric declare a surplus items.
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to pull any off the agenda at this time? If not, can I have a motion to pass the agenda?
So moved.
So move, Councilmember Woods.
Second.
Second, Councilmember McKenzie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Oh, God, they're good.
Next part is meeting open to the public. We will call up the residents. They have 3 minutes. Also, when it comes to this, we will take notes, the city manager, for any kind of concerns anybody has, and then we'll take it back. We won't be commenting, of course, during this time, because we're going to take the information, make sure we do the due diligent research, anything we need. Thank you. John Schmall, please. Good evening.
Mayor and council members, happy Fat Tuesday. Can you say that? Happy Fat Tuesday. Anyway, first of all, clearing my throat, I don't have a air purifier in my house. Didn't get to it, but I don't have an extra electric bill. Anyway, note on my way to Health Partners Phelan Complex, I noticed a sign that just appeared this week, because I was there on Sunday to get rid of some branches, that it said DMV site. So have they opened up a DMV site there to replace what we lost in Maplewood? It would be nice, because that trip to Stillwater is a long way, and Roseville, it's crazy.
Are you talking the one on Pierce Butler?
No, I'm talking about Hmong Village, off of Phelan Parkway. A little sign they just put up, DMV site.
I haven't heard about that.
I don't know what it is. I'm just throwing it out. I saw it today. Secondly, I take issue with the requirement to sign on to Google to know what's going on with the CC project, Community Center project. Why do we have to subject me to an outfit, Google, who just loves selling information, and you have to sign on to their site in order to be, or in order to obtain information about what's happening with the CC site. We have OpenGov. Why don't we have a site on OpenGov and on the city website? You know, every time you turn around, they're asking for update of privacy, this and that, when you go sign on to Google. And that site that was established was not operative when Councilmember Nordby made his presentation. There was no information on the site about it. How do I know? Because I didn't sign on. I'm not signing on another Google site because I know someone who did ask to be signed up on it and did not receive any information about Councilmember Nordby's presentation last time or 2 times ago. The last item is that I've given up on attending budget meetings, because you go through all this budget meetings and information and what are we going to do, what's the levy going to be, and all of that stuff, and then you end up spending, finding money, $80,000 to cover the park dedication fee, et cetera, and also the $90,000 in December for the consultant. And I just go, where's it coming from? Anyway, be careful out there. It's slippery.
Slippery. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere in the morning.
Thank you very much. That's it. All I have is one.
All right, next up is public hearing. So item A is a proposal to adopt a street reconstruction plan and the intent to issue a general obligation street reconstruction bonds. We have Finance Director Winnick here to discuss.
Mayor, council members, there's been a number of meetings with WSB that has discussed the plan for the reconstruction for 2025 with the Gerald Avenue between Mohawk Road and Mesabi Avenue, the Shawnee Drive, Buell Avenue, and the Casey Lake Park parking lot off of Shawnee Drive. What this is this, we'll have to open this up for a public hearing for any comments on issuing bonds for this project. Attached to your documentation is a street reconstruction plan that's for 5 years. It shows the 2025, and it also shows what's planned in part of our CIP for 2027, and then shows some other street-related projects. After the public hearing, you'll have an opportunity to adopt that plan, and then also by resolution, the intent to issue general obligation street reconstruction bonds. This also starts the 30-day time period where if the public were against issuing the bonds, they could petition within the next 30 days. Then what it would do is end up forcing the issuance of the bonds to be held in a public voting meeting versus City Council issuing it per our schedule. But I think if you have any questions on that before, and then open it up to the public for any public comments.
Any questions, anyone?
Nope.
Okay. If not, do you have a? Okay, just want to make sure. I didn't miss you. Okay.
So before you is a resolution to adopt the street plan and to issue bonds up to a maximum of $7 million at this point in time. Right now, working with Baker Tilly, our bond consultant, we're looking at about a little over $6.7 million issuance, but this is written to go up to 7, just in case that some of the estimates that come in are a little bit higher, that we have a little cushion for it. So.
Okay, thank you. Get a motion?
So moved.
So move. Councilmember Norby.
Second.
Second, Councilmember McKenzie.
Pardon me, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to,
Some-
before we move on here, I just wanted to make sure we had a clear opening and closing of the public hearing.
Oh,
even though we don't have anyone here, just so that we have that clearly recorded in the minutes.
All right. Public hearing closed. 7:27. All right. Motion, Councilmember Norby, right? Second was Councilmember Kinsey.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
All right, we have one city business action item and recommendation. Budget amendment for the fiscal year 2024 budgets. Turn that back over to Dan.
Mayor and council members, I knew you'd get sick of me by the end of this evening. Before you is kind of a cleanup for a 2024 budget. We've done this the past 3 years. This will be the 4th year. And it's basically increasing the budget and revenues to make sure that they're covering all of the expenditures that have been authorized by City Council throughout the year. And so all of the amendments are attached. We have the Community Event Fund. There's an increase in estimated revenue and expenditures. It's really due to the snowy sculptures, where we sold them to a number of businesses in the area, and then the costs that are associated with that. There's a Fire Relief Fund where we're required to pass on the fire aid that we receive from the state to the Relief Association. It was higher than we anticipated, just like we had spoke earlier about the police aid. They were much higher than was given to us when we built the budget. And then there's the wastewater fund that, if you remember, I think the purchase of a sewer cleaner was actually approved by the CIP a few years ago. It took up until this past year in 2024 to finally actually get the piece of equipment. So actually, City Council approved a part of the CIP, but our budgets don't carry over. And so this is to make the necessary adjustment to make sure that we have the funding in the budget that, and the fund has enough money, as you've already seen, to cover that expenditure, which has already been approved. So again, it's more of just cleaning up things. Solid waste, there's increases in revenues and expenditures, and it's really to cover coordinated tipping fees. Fiber optics, just a small little adjustment of $1,700. Just again, cover a little overage from what we had estimated in for fiber costs that we pay a third party. And then the insurance fund, some adjustments due to workman's comp insurance being higher than we estimated in property insurance. And then the equipment fund, again, the plow truck was budgeted actually in 2023, wasn't received until 2024. So again, it's just making these adjustments for that. And then HRA, again, it's an increase in estimated revenue in land because of the sale of goods we actually sold to in 2024 versus it's just all timing pieces. So these are really just to clean up, to close up the budget for 2024. I already presented in the workshop how well we've done in our funds. So there is a resolution that is attached to this to approve, so then I can actually make the adjustments on the financial system.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to amend the financial 2024 budgets?
So moved.
So move. Councilmember Woods.
McKenzie?
Second, Councilmember Kenzie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. All right, reports for the city manager and departments. We have, I did put that idea by the deed gentleman that represents us for the grant that was presented by Councilmember Nordby. They were saying that the initial plan that was turned in had discussed the gymnasium and the running track, so that plan wouldn't work without having to go back to the legislators. So still working on a couple things, but that's where we're at right now. The student-built house, so the Independent School District 916, Tom did turn in his official resignation, so for retirement. They have posted, they put it up last week, try to find somebody else. We'll see how that goes. But those are some big shoes to fill. He's really good at what he does, and hate to see him go, but he deserves his retirement. Still,
I'd like to see if we could do a little ceremony for him, for all he's done.
oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Who's this?
The guy who's student housing for years, he started it.
Oh.
I'd like to be able to give him a nice send-off. We really appreciate all he's done.
That'd be
for
great.
us.
Yes,
Is this still run out of Central College, right?
Correct, yeah.
yeah. Still looking at a few things to get taken care of, so we can look at that 11th Avenue sidewalk that will go from McKnight to Ariel on the north side of the road. There was a hiccup for the couple of properties closest to McKnight that it actually shows the property going right to the middle of 11th Avenue. I'm not sure why that wasn't caught before, so we're in talks with property owners right now. Along with that, there'll be a couple of crossing signals for the push button by where the bus stops are. Another idea I was going to throw out for you guys, and I know it had been talked about in the past, I don't know if it's still a priority, but that path that goes through on the west side of the pond, that goes from 11th up to 13th. I talked to Morgan about that, and just high level, he threw out a number, it could be $40,000, $50,000, but something to look into if you guys are interested in something like that. We can talk further about that later. For the departments, electric's been, been doing a lot of inspections. They have a bunch of poles and cross-arm changeouts that they're going to be working on. They've been doing some of their equipment inspection, like transformers, overhead transformers, things like that. We got some substation maintenance planned that later on, once the weather warms up a little bit before it gets too hot. Have some other guys going down to sub-school at Marshall here coming up. And Cole, one of our linemen, they just had a baby yesterday, so congratulations to him. Ava's been busy with the festival planning and getting everything lined up for the summer. Finance clearly has been extremely busy with the audit and doing just a great job. PD, they have offered the job for the new investigator. The gentleman right now lives in Texas, but he's from Minnesota. He worked for 17 years already at, what was the name of that city?
Mendota Heights?
And I think you're right, yeah.
I think he was.
So they're looking at a mid-April start date for that, and we've got an officer doing background checks right now, so hopefully everything turns out. We can have one of the officers start then as well. Public Works gave an update on the student-built house. Windows are getting put in. Basement floor was being poured today, so it's moving along. The rinks are done for the year. Looks like we'll be doing pond maintenance. They had tried to start that last year. It didn't work out, so they're going to be lining that up for this year.
When does that project at Colruyt start?
That's going to be, they're hoping by the end of the year that they have their final plan in place. So then what they'll do is they'll have all their permits ready to go. So the first day that school is out, they'll be hitting it hard. They still haven't decided if they're going to expand out or go up or what yet, so. The EAB removals is still taking place. We cleared out a lot of them, got the electric department involved. Going down Margaret Street, there were a lot of trees that didn't look very good. They were kind of wide around the power lines, so that's looks a little empty there now, a little open space down Margaret. They've been posting for summer help for Public Works, trying to get another 5 to 6 people in for that help. They're working on the lead service line. Information still, it's required to have, what was that, 25 or 30 people that have that lead service line that they have to get them to agree to be part of the program where they can go into the house and get samples actually from their water line for that. So they're working on that right now, which is always hard to get everybody lined up. They've also been bringing people in or contractors in for the door locks situation that we had discussed at the retreat. They've talked with 3 of them. We got a couple more to talk to. Fire is getting the notices out there for certificate of occupancy for the fire for the businesses, which is a new program that they started back up after the pandemic. That's all I got for you.
How full is Article 7 now for residency up there?
75%. Yeah, it's about 40+% for actually in there, but they're still moving in, but they've got 75% sold, so.
And then it's about Centennial, or was Sentinel? What's that fulfillment rate?
Oh, they've been full for a while. Yeah, I mean, now it's just interchanging people coming and going.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Reports from council commissions, please.
Parks and Rec presented what they presented today. So
Nice.
what I can say is I would like you guys to just soak in what was just presented and think about what we have for our future with our parks and these new locations. I can easily say that we do have work with our current parks that we need to work on with ADA and all of that, but there's some opportunity that we have that is also something to consider as we move forward down the line with some of this park planning. Next meeting is March 26th here at 6:30.
Thank you very much.
And we have the EDA next week, March 11th.
Yep.
I think whoever day it is, Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yep, Tuesday,
Yeah.
4 p.m.
Right here, 4 o'clock here.
Thank you.
Arts and Culture, we had a approval for a new member approved tonight, and then our next meeting is tomorrow night.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Norby.
The Planning Commission meeting that was scheduled for March 6th, Thursday, has been canceled due to lack of agenda.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any general business? Councilmember Schwer.
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Nope. Great. You?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. The event we had on Friday for the firefighters.
That was a good time.
Yeah, well-
I walked out with the comedian.
Yeah.
He kept telling me, why am I looking at him through my back? Because I told him as I went out, I said I was looking at your back when I was looking at the mirror over here.
Yeah. So, yeah, they had a great.
Yeah, it was a nice turnout,
Yeah,
too.
to be able to, you know, show
Firefighters were
appreciation.
awarded, very nice.
Yeah, a lot of good awards, a lot of, different, for the stabbing that was up at, the mall up there, or that place over on 11th over there. And then, some awards for the heroic actions that they have done. So it was a great turnout, and it was an honor to be there and to support our great, EMTs and firefighters. All right. Next meeting is March 18th by call for adjournment.
Motion?
Motion. Councilmember McKenzie?
Second.
Second. Councilmember Woods. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.